It's not just music and honky tonks. Let's explore Nashville, Tennessee. Welcome to Nashville, Tennessee, a city where rich history meets the soul of gospel and the rhythm of country music. From iconic sights to hidden gems that are off the beaten path, there's more to Music City than meets the eye. Hey, it's Mark and Pam with Any Way You Travel. If you're new to the channel, welcome. If you're a returning viewer, we're glad to have you back. Now, let's explore Nashville, Tennessee. The Grand Ole Opry is the heartbeat of country music, a stage that has hosted legends for nearly a century. Folks like Hank Williams Sr., Patsy Cline, Hank Jr., Waylon Jennings, Willie Nelson, Dierks Bentley, and Carrie Underwood have all graced the stage of the Grand Ole Opry. And it all started in 1925 as a humble radio broadcast called the WSM Barn Dance.
They moved the Grand Ole Opry from the Ryman Theater in 1974. Believe it or not, the Ryman Theater was not air-conditioned, and it sat very few people. This new facility was air-conditioned, had lots of amenities, and seated 4,400 people.
As many know, a circle of wood from the old Ryman stage was placed in the new venue to preserve its spirit. That circle connects today's artists to the legends who came before them. Performers often call it a rite of passage to stand on it. Now, keep that circle in mind. We'll talk about it again in a few minutes.
Now, if you want to take a look at the Grand Ole Opry inside, you're going to have to be ready to shell out some bucks because it's $46 a ticket. And that's just for the tour. No entertainment provided.
But for fans of country music, a tour of the Opry is an absolute must-see. This is the iconic Ryman Auditorium, known as the Mother Church of country music.
What's now known as the Ryman Auditorium was built in 1891 as the Union Gospel Tabernacle. That's right, it was a place for gospel music to be sung.
Its stunning acoustics made it a premier venue for hosting gospel, opera, and eventually the Grand Ole Opry in 1943. For 134 years, the Ryman in the heart of downtown Nashville has stood as a monument to all styles of music. Honky Tonk Highway in downtown Nashville is a neon-lit stretch of lower Broadway where live music flows out of every doorway from morning until long after midnight. It's the place where dreams are chased, locals mix with travelers, and the spirit of Music City comes alive. This is the most iconic place on Honky Tonk Highway.
Tootsies was originally a bar called Mom's, but in 1960, Hattie Tootsie Bess bought it. She hired a painter to give it a fresh coat of paint. Well, she came in a few days later, and the place was painted Orchid. She liked it so much, she called it Tootsie's Orchid Lounge.
Tootsie's Orchid Lounge, with its unmistakable purple exterior, has been a Nashville landmark since 1960. Located just steps behind the Ryman Auditorium, it became the after-show hangout for Grand Ole Opry stars. Legends like Willie Nelson, Patsy Cline, Chris Christopherson, and Loretta Lynn would slip through the Ryman's back door and into Tootsie's for a drink, a laugh, and oftentimes an impromptu jam session. But sometimes they'd hang out here before they performed at the Ryman.
Now, when it was the various artists' time to go sing at the Ryman, they would come out the back door of Tootsie's and they would walk into the Ryman alley.
They would then walk down the alley, slip into one of the backstage doors, and get up on the stage and perform. Okay, let's head back out to the Honky Tonk Highway. This unique avenue's roots stretch back to the early 20th century when Lower Broadway was known as Honky Tonk Alley. In the days before it became a tourist magnet, there it was kind of a gritty, seedy strip of bars, pawn shops, and eateries where musicians played for tips and exposure. As the years passed, the old-time venues helped transform the street into a music lover's paradise. Today, the mix of historic bars and new establishments keep the Honky Tonk Highway's energy electric. And while the history is fascinating, it's the modern-day atmosphere that truly makes the street an unforgettable experience. When walking down Honky Tonk Highway today, you'll find music spilling into the streets from places like Kid Rock's Big Honky Tonk and Steakhouse, Luke Bryan's 32 Bridge, and Jason Aldean's Kitchen and Rooftop Bar. Each venue offers its own spin, from rooftop views of downtown to multi-floor stages with bands playing non-stop. And the best part? There's no cover charge.
This is Nashville's Printers Alley. Now, in the early 1900s, this was home to 2 newspapers and a bunch of other printing concerns. But when Prohibition came in, this became a street of speakeasies. And when asked what he was going to do, the mayor of Nashville said, "I'm going to protect them. But not only am I going to protect them, I'm going to patronize them too."
Beyond the tunes, Honky Tonk Highway is alive with the smell of Southern cooking drifting from restaurant doors. Day or night, the energy is constant and the people watching is unbeatable. Many visitors start in the afternoon when the crowds are lighter, and then return after dark when the neon lights create a dazzling glow over the street. If you're a fan of GooGoo clusters, and who isn't, Nashville is the place to come. It's the home of GooGoo clusters, and they've been around since 1912. When you come into the store, it's kind of like taking a step back in time to an old-fashioned candy store.
Okay, a bit of GooGoo cluster trivia for you. What was the candy bar named after? It was named after a baby's first words, GooGoo.
While I always thought the ingredient marshmallow nougat sounded kind of creepy, you can't beat a GooGoo cluster, and you can't beat Honky Tonk Highway. We had been walking around for a while and we were hot, so it was time for some cool refreshment, and that means ice cream.
Okay, we stopped in for some ice cream. Pam's having a Rocky Road ice cream cone. And I had the chocolate malt. And I gotta tell you what, I'm somewhat of a chocolate malt connoisseur. And this is probably the best chocolate malt I've ever had. We're at Mike's Homemade Ice Cream just off the Honky Tonk Highway in downtown Nashville.
The Nashville Walk of Fame honors music legends with stars set in the sidewalk, celebrating artists like Dolly Parton, Elvis, Garth Brooks, Ernest Tubb, Alan Jackson, Little Big Town, Kicks and Dunn, and Kid Rock. Just across the street, the Country Music Hall of Fame showcases the history of the genre with rare instruments, stage costumes, and interactive exhibits. Tickets were right around $33 a person, so we didn't go in, but I have an awesome alternative for you. This is the Legends of Country Music Museum, and I'm telling you, for $12, this place is absolutely amazing.
Willie came to the Grand Ole Opry. They forced him to cut his hair and put on a suit. They wouldn't let him use his regular guitar either because it had a hole in it. He wasn't real happy. And they ended up paying him $15.
Willie was a huge supporter of this museum. There's one of his guitar straps, his running shoes. He gave them his gold and platinum records. And this is the furniture out of his in-home recording studio. And this is Willie's Brunswick pool table, custom made, of course. You'll find pictures of Waylon and, of course, his famous guitar. Also, Dottie West, Kenny Rogers, and Dottie's daughter, Shelley West, are also honored here with memorabilia. And if you're a fan of Hank Williams Jr., they've got a surprise for you. This is his custom-made Dodge pickup. Notice it has Bocephus in the back, and inside, the console is an ice chest, and those 2 plastic tubes, well, that's so they could sip a drink of whiskey from behind the seat while they were driving. This is a cool piece of history. When they built the new Grand Ole Opry, they cut a circular piece of wood out of the stage at the Ryman to put in the stage of the new Opry. So they had to cut a circular section out of the new stage. This is that circular section they cut out. It's over 50 years old, and everyone that was at the Opry that night signed that piece of flooring. Remember Tootsie's Orchid Lounge? Well, that green smock is what Tootsie wore when she worked at night, and the whistle around her neck? Well, she'd blow that when it was the end of the night. And this booth? That was one of the original booths from back in Tootsie's in the 1960s. While people were having a good time, they'd sign the table. Also, unlike other places, the Legends of Country Music Museum has very reasonably priced souvenirs, so make sure to check it out. And literally next door is Cooter's Dukes of Hazzard Museum. Now listen, if you are a fan of the show Dukes of Hazzard, you have got to stop by and see this place. It is absolutely amazing. You can go in, there's all kinds of memorabilia, there's television shows playing, there's just all kinds of stuff that will bring back childhood memories. Ben Cooter Jones's museum about the Dukes of Hazzard is free, and it's got all kinds of incredible memorabilia in it, like this door. Oh, that's Uncle Jesse's door. And of course, who can forget every young guy's dream girl, Daisy Duke? You can even get some Daisy Duke shorts, well, if you want to. Cooter's Dukes of Hazzard Museum is owned by Ben Jones, who played Cooter on the show. Opened in Nashville in 2017, it showcases original props, costumes, and memorabilia from the series, along with life-size replicas of the iconic General Lee, Daisy's Jeep, and Roscoe's patrol car. Fans can browse the gift shop, snap photos with the car, and relive the adventures of Bo, Luke, and Daisy in this free, family-friendly attraction. Next, we visited the Tennessee State Museum in Nashville. It offers a sweeping look at the state's history from prehistoric times to the present day. Opened in its current location in 2018, the museum's free admission and expansive galleries make it a must-visit for history lovers. Exhibits explore Tennessee's role in the Civil War, the frontier era, and pivotal moments in the civil rights movement, while also showcasing Native American artifacts, military history, and decorative arts. And far beyond its political and cultural history, Tennessee's greatest legacy may be its music. From the soulful blues of Memphis to the gospel roots of the Smokies and the world-famous country music sounds of Nashville, the state's melodies have shaped American music and continue to echo beyond its borders even today. If you're looking for a taste of Nashville beyond the music, you've got to check out the Nashville Farmers Market. Inside the market house, you'll find a buzzing food hall with dozens of eateries serving everything from smoky southern barbecue to Ethiopian platters, fresh sushi, and gourmet coffee. It's the perfect spot to grab a bite to eat while exploring the city. Then step outside and the open-air stalls come alive with the colors and scents of Tennessee. Piles of fresh local produce, artisan baked goods, and beautiful flowers straight from local farms. What's hot honey?
So I'm Amanda with Bearded Bee Works. We're a family-owned apiary. We do everything from keeping the bees, extracting the honey, making all the products. One of our top-selling products is our hot honey. And it is just made with our local wildflower honey, habanero, and smoked chilies.
I have to admit, as someone who grew up in the northern regions of the U.S., I've never heard of hot honey. Our next stop is the state capitol of Tennessee. Now, state capitol buildings usually aren't a big thing, but this one's kind of special in a couple different ways. First, 2 presidents of the United States came from this very Capitol building. And second, getting up to this Capitol building, well, it can be quite the challenge. You see the hill that it's on? Well, the only way to get up there, unless you can find a parking place in downtown, is to walk up those stairs. And there are a lot of stairs.
There's very little parking around the Capitol building, so if you want to go see the Capitol, you're going to have to go up some steps. And a lot of steps.
But don't worry, the state legislators and their staff have parking that gives them easy access. This is a statue honoring our 7th president, Andrew Jackson. One very similar to it is in Jackson Square in New Orleans.
You know, we always think of folks like Andrew Jackson as being around since the beginning of our country, and while he was born in 1767. He was only 9 years old when our country gained its independence.
The current Capitol building was built in 1859 and has been in use ever since. This is President James Polk. He was a state legislator before he became president. And this is David Crockett. He was a member of Congress from Tennessee before he lost his re-election. Following his loss, he said to his constituents, "You may all go to hell, I am going to Texas." And he died at the Battle of the Alamo. An interesting historical tidbit for you: the Tennessee State Capitol is one of the oldest working state capitals in the United States, still housing its original government functions. This is the old state lounge where legislators could go and relax. Nice perk. On the grounds of the Tennessee State Capitol is the final resting place of President Polk and his wife Sarah. Our next stop is going to be one of the most unique hidden gems you're going to find in the city of Nashville.
Now, believe it or not, this Parthenon in Nashville is an exact scientifically accurate replica of the Parthenon in Greece. Nashville's Parthenon was built in 1897 as part of the Centennial celebration for the state of Tennessee. It was the fine arts building. It was meant as a nod to the city's nickname, the Athens of the South, which reflects the city's commitment to education and culture.
Inside the Parthenon stands a breathtaking 42-foot statue of Athena, covered in real gold leaf and towering as one of the largest indoor statues in the Western Hemisphere. This is the Hermitage, the home to President Andrew Jackson. The park staff was kind enough to give me a guided tour, and I really appreciate that. The home is located on Old Hickory Boulevard, and if you're a fan of history, you have got to stop and check out this beautiful homestead. Jackson bought this piece of land in 1804 from a neighbor, and they built this log cabin and gave it the name the Hermitage, a French word meaning retreat. His wife Rachel picked the piece of land, and by the end of 1804, this cabin was complete. As was the norm back then, the kitchen was built separated from the house. Just in case there was a fire in the kitchen, it wouldn't burn down the house also. This was the home to Jackson's favorite, perhaps most trusted slave, Albert. He stayed with Jackson longer than any other slave, choosing to stay with him even after gaining his freedom. He was Jackson's carriage driver, a laborer, and he later became caretaker of the property while Jackson served as president. He and his wife raised their children in this cabin. With Alfred choosing to remain at the Hermitage, he worked as a guide and storyteller for visitors. He shared personal recollections of Jackson's life, battles, and home. He was buried next to the Jacksons. This is the gravesite of our 7th president, Andrew Jackson, and his wife, Rachel. Right next to their gravesite is a small family cemetery. In 1819, after earning the title of hero during the War of 1812, Jackson built the current mansion at the Hermitage. It underwent extensive renovations following an 1834 fire. In 1829, Jackson's farm life was interrupted by his election as President of the United States. After the end of his second term in 1837, Jackson returned to the Hermitage, where he died in 1845. We hope you enjoyed our visit to Music City, Nashville, Tennessee. If you did, please hit the subscribe button and give us a thumbs up so YouTube knows to spread it to more travelers, and hit the notification bell so you'll always be able to travel with us. This is Mark and Pam with Any Way You Travel. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again next week. Happy travels!